Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. Today on The Young and the Restless, Lauren drags her stilettos, Sharon questions Nick, Victor summons Phyllis, and Patty gets her kiss. At Society, Diane cries over the photo of Jack unconscious that Billy received. Billy wants to send it to Phyllis, but recalls she didn't seem all that concerned. Sensing a sea change, Diane hopes Billy is still on board with exchanging Chancellor for Jack. Billy knows what's at stake, but he can't get a hold of Phyllis. Diane hollers at him to go to her. She thinks he's dragging his heels on purpose. Billy assures that Jack's safe return is all that matters right now. Billy explains this is now about pride for Phyllis, who has lost all of her support. Diane thinks they can use this to their advantage by offering her something she can benefit from. Kyle wants to bypass Victor and figure out where they're holding his dad. They decide to get the footage from Jabot's garage. On the yacht, Jack grills Patty to find out who's in charge. She urges him to have a drink and relax. She doesn't know who's behind this. She was contacted anonymously and offered a huge sum of money to watch over him. A light bulb goes off for Jack, who pours him and Patty a drink and steers the conversation to her seeking forgiveness. He's not buying that she's healed and is accepting this arrangement. How much was she paid? Patty figures the person holding them there knows about their past. Jack flashes back to Mary Jane being revealed as Patty and learning that Victor was behind the deception. He tells Patty he'll make a deal with her and asks for a tour of the yacht so he can assess the situation. She of course wants a kiss, and she wants the kiss first. Whilst pouring another drink, Jack realizes that whoever captured them knows his favorite scotch. It's none other, the Black Knight himself, Victor. At the ranch, Nikki questions Victor as to why she saw Phyllis leaving. He says they're negotiating. Nikki's surprised. Victor hedges that she knows what he wants, Chancellor, and what the consequences are if he doesn't get it. Nikki keeps questioning Victor, who, unsurprisingly, doesn't want her to be suspicious about the details. This makes her more suspicious. She muses that she ran into Tracy Abbott, who seemed concerned about Jack, but was short on details. Victor snorts that he doesn't care about the Abbott's whereabouts. In her office, Phyllis sits wondering why Victor's waiting to accept her offer. Lauren arrives and Red asks if she's decided to come and work with her. Lauren reveals she's still mulling it over. It turns out she wants to run it by Michael, who's away in New York with Fenn. Phyllis wonders if this hinges on his approval. Lauren denies this but worries it will affect her friendship with Nikki and that working with Phyllis might be tricky given she's a little unpredictable. What if they ruin their friendship? Suddenly, Phyllis gets a text and exclaims, "Damn it!" Lauren asks what's going on, noting she's edgy and tense. Did something happen? Suddenly, Phyllis's phone rings. It's Victor summoning her to the ranch. She tells Lauren she has to go, but her pal wants to know what the call was about. Nick limps into the coffee house, where Sharon asks about his trip to LA. Nick says he put the word out that he's looking for him. Sharon can't believe that's his whole plan. Why didn't he use the promise of money to lure him out? Nick claims he did, but Matt was a no-show. Sharon exclaims, "That was reckless, Nick." Undeterred, Nick says he's flying back out there tonight whether she likes it or not. Trying to change the subject, he claims his leg is healing without pills and then snaps at her. She swings back to his plan as Noah and Sienna join them. Sienna announces that she's taken steps on her own to help eliminate the threat Matt presents to them all. He deserves to go from hunter to being hunted. Nick doesn't want her and Noah anywhere near this. Noah says they all are, whether he likes it or not. Still at Crimson Lights, Sienna has discovered that Matt was deep into drugs and Vegas was the hub of the operation. Sharon wonders if the kingpin is hiding him. Sienna reveals, "I've got a name." She tells them her name is Riza, and if that sounds familiar, readers, it's because Adam knew Riza when he lived in Vegas. Sharon interacted with her. At the Abbott mansion, Diane, Kyle and Billy have learned that Jack went into the car park, and a few minutes later a black SUV pulled out. Diane cries that he's been taken to God knows where. They zoom in on the decal on the SUV and connect it to a marina. They'll follow this lead given it's their only one. On the yacht, Jack reminds Patty that Victor's weaponized her against him before. Patty wants to get back to making amends and makes a toast. Patty asks for her kiss and Jack pecks her. She tells him he'll have to do better. They kiss passionately and Jack then looks around as she goes to town on his neck. In her office, Phyllis refuses to tell Lauren what's going on and asks her to lock up as she walks out. Phyllis arrives at the ranch and tells Victor she'd like to get this deal done. Nikki comes out of the woodwork and wants to know why she's giving Chancellor back. Phyllis mocks, "Victor, don't tell me Nikki doesn't know." Victor smirks. The tension hanging over Genoa City feels heavier than ever as the events of Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 on The Young and the Restless unfold with quiet dread and rising urgency. The day begins with subtle unease rippling through familiar places and faces, heels clicking across polished floors, unanswered questions lingering in the air, and secrets moving silently between powerful players. In the midst of it all, lives are shifting in ways no one fully understands yet. Lauren Fenmore Baldwin drags her stilettos with visible frustration. Sharon Newman presses Nick for answers that refuse to come easily. And Victor Newman summons Phyllis Summers with the cold precision of a man orchestrating a dangerous game. Meanwhile, somewhere far from the chaos of Genoa City, Patty Williams finally gets the moment she has been craving, one that carries echoes of obsession, manipulation, and unfinished history. Every storyline slowly tightens like a coiled spring, and beneath the surface the looming question grows louder: who is really pulling the strings? At Society, the atmosphere is thick with anxiety as Diane Jenkins Abbott clutches a photograph that feels like a punch to the heart. The image shows Jack Abbott lying unconscious, vulnerable in a way that seems almost impossible for the powerful Abbott patriarch. Tears slip down Diane's face as she stares at the photo Billy Abbott received, her mind racing with fear and helplessness. Billy suggests sending the photo to Phyllis Summers, hoping the shocking evidence might push her into action, but hesitation clouds his thoughts as he remembers something unsettling. Phyllis didn't seem nearly as concerned as she should have been. That troubling realization lingers between them like a shadow. Diane senses the shift instantly, the subtle change in Billy's attitude, and she desperately asks if he's still committed to the plan to exchange Chancellor for Jack's safe return. Billy insists he understands exactly what's at stake, but frustration builds when he admits he hasn't been able to reach Phyllis at all. Diane's fear quickly turns to anger, her voice rising as she accuses Billy of dragging his feet on purpose, but Billy fires back that nothing matters to him right now except bringing Jack home alive. As the conversation deepens, Billy explains the complicated truth behind Phyllis's behavior. To him, this situation has become about something far more dangerous than money or leverage. It's about pride. Phyllis has alienated nearly everyone who once supported her, leaving her isolated and determined to prove she can still win on her own terms. Diane listens carefully, and a strategic thought begins to form. If Phyllis is driven by pride and desperation, perhaps those very weaknesses can be turned into leverage. They could offer her something she truly wants, something that benefits her personally enough to force her hand. Meanwhile, Kyle Abbott refuses to sit back and wait for Victor Newman to control the situation any longer. Determined to find his father himself, he suggests bypassing Victor entirely and uncovering where Jack is being held. That determination leads them to a crucial idea: security footage from Jabot's parking garage. If Jack disappeared there, the truth might be hiding in plain sight on those cameras. Far away from Genoa City's elegant offices and tense living rooms, the situation aboard a quiet yacht unfolds with eerie calm. Jack Abbott, though still regaining his strength, refuses to let his mind dull with fear. Instead, he begins carefully questioning Patty Williams, pressing her for answers about who is truly behind his captivity. Patty, however, responds with unsettling casualness, urging him to relax and have a drink, as if they're merely two acquaintances sharing an evening on the water. She claims she has no idea who orchestrated the kidnapping, explaining that someone contacted her anonymously and offered an enormous sum of money simply to watch over him. The explanation sounds almost absurd, yet Patty insists it's the truth. As Jack listens, something sharp sparks behind his eyes, a realization forming slowly but unmistakably. He pours drinks for both of them, guiding the conversation toward Patty's supposed quest for forgiveness, though his tone carries quiet skepticism. Jack makes it clear he isn't convinced that Patty has truly healed from the past or that she would accept such a strange arrangement without deeper motivation. His voice grows more probing as he asks the question lingering in his mind. Exactly how much was she paid to keep him here? Patty admits that whoever orchestrated their situation must know the history between them, a statement that sends Jack spiraling briefly into memories he can't ignore. He flashes back to the moment Mary Jane Benson was revealed to be Patty in disguise, and the shocking discovery that Victor Newman had once been behind that elaborate deception. That memory crystallizes Jack's suspicion. With calculated calm, he offers Patty a deal and requests a tour of the yacht so he can better understand the environment surrounding them. But Patty's smile turns mischievous, almost playful in a way that feels unsettling. She tells him she'll agree, but only if she gets a kiss first. As Jack pours another drink, something small but significant catches his attention. The scotch being served is his favorite, an oddly specific detail that suddenly feels like a clue placed deliberately in front of him. In that quiet moment of realization, the puzzle pieces click into place inside his mind. Whoever planned this operation knows him far too well, his habits, his tastes, even the scotch he prefers. Jack exhales slowly as the truth lands with chilling clarity. There is only one man who would orchestrate something this elaborate, this personal. The shadow behind it all can only belong to the Black Knight himself. With quiet certainty, Jack murmurs the name that confirms his suspicion. Victor. Back at the Newman ranch, Nikki Newman senses that something unusual is unfolding beneath the polished surface of Victor's world. When she notices Phyllis Summers leaving the ranch, curiosity quickly turns into suspicion. Nikki confronts Victor, asking directly why Phyllis was there in the first place. Victor's response is calm but cryptic as he explains that they are negotiating. Nikki's surprise is immediate. Negotiating with Phyllis is never simple or predictable. Victor carefully avoids revealing too much, only reminding her that she already knows what he wants. Chancellor, and if he doesn't get it, the consequences will be severe. Nikki continues pressing him for details, but Victor's evasiveness only deepens her suspicions. She mentions running into Tracy Abbott earlier, noticing how worried she seemed about Jack despite having very little information about his whereabouts. Victor dismisses the concern with a cold snort, claiming he doesn't care about the Abbott family's problems. Meanwhile, across town in her office, Phyllis Summers sits alone, staring at her phone as impatience gnaws at her nerves. She can't understand why Victor hasn't already accepted the deal she offered. When Lauren Fenmore Baldwin arrives, the mood shifts slightly as their conversation turns toward business possibilities. Phyllis wonders if Lauren has decided to partner with her, but Lauren explains she's still thinking it over and wants to discuss it with Michael Baldwin, who is currently in New York with their son Fenmore. Phyllis questions whether Michael's approval will ultimately determine Lauren's decision, though Lauren insists that isn't the case. Still, Lauren admits she's worried about how working with Phyllis might affect her long-standing friendship with Nikki Newman. Phyllis has always been unpredictable, and the risk of damaging their relationship weighs heavily on Lauren's mind. Just as the conversation grows more personal, Phyllis's phone buzzes with an incoming message that instantly changes her expression. The frustration that erupts from her lips, damn it, makes Lauren immediately sense something is wrong. She studies Phyllis carefully, noticing the tension in her posture and the nervous energy radiating from her. Lauren asks gently if something happened, but before Phyllis can answer, her phone rings again. This time it's Victor Newman himself, summoning her back to the ranch. Phyllis abruptly tells Lauren she has to leave, offering no explanation as she rushes out the door, leaving her friend staring after her with growing concern. Elsewhere at Crimson Lights, Sharon Newman watches Nick Newman limp into the coffee house with a mixture of relief and irritation. She asks about his trip to Los Angeles, hoping for progress in the search for Matt. Nick explains that he spread the word that he's looking for him, but Sharon quickly challenges that strategy. To her, it sounds dangerously incomplete. Why didn't he offer money to lure Matt out into the open? Nick claims he did exactly that, but Matt never showed up. Sharon's frustration explodes as she calls the plan reckless, yet Nick remains stubbornly determined. Whether she agrees or not, he plans to fly back to Los Angeles that very night. Trying to deflect the argument, Nick shifts the conversation to his injured leg, claiming it's healing without painkillers, though his sharp tone reveals just how on edge he really is. Their tense discussion takes another turn when Noah Newman and Sienna arrive, bringing new information with them. Sienna reveals she has taken steps on her own to help neutralize the threat Matt poses to all of them. In her mind, the man who has been hunting them deserves to become the hunted. Nick immediately rejects the idea of Noah and Sienna getting involved, but Noah calmly reminds his father that they are already part of this whether he likes it or not. Sienna then shares what she has uncovered through her research. Matt was deeply entangled in drugs, and Las Vegas served as the hub of that entire operation. Sharon wonders aloud if the criminal kingpin behind that network might be hiding him now. Sienna nods slowly before revealing a crucial clue. She has a name. The person connected to Matt is a woman named Riza, a name that sends a ripple of recognition through the room. Back at the Abbott mansion, the investigation into Jack's disappearance gains momentum. Diane, Kyle, and Billy review security footage and discover that Jack entered the Jabot parking garage shortly before a black SUV exited the area. The realization strikes Diane like a wave of dread as she imagines Jack being taken to some unknown location. Desperation pushes them to examine the footage more closely, zooming in on a small decal visible on the SUV. That single detail leads them to an unexpected connection, a marina. It isn't much, but it's the only lead they have, and they cling to it with cautious hope. Meanwhile, on the yacht, the psychological tension between Jack and Patty grows more intense. Jack reminds her that Victor has used her as a weapon against him before, a painful reminder of how easily she has been manipulated in the past. Patty, however, insists she wants to focus on making amends and raises her glass in a strange attempt at reconciliation. She reminds Jack about the kiss she demanded earlier, and though he reluctantly gives her a quick peck, Patty immediately tells him that isn't nearly enough. The moment escalates as she pulls him into a deeper, more passionate kiss. As Patty loses herself in the moment, pressing closer and trailing kisses along his neck, Jack's eyes remain open, watching, calculating, studying the surroundings with quiet determination. Back in Genoa City, Phyllis refuses to explain anything to Lauren before leaving her office, simply asking her friend to lock up behind her. Soon afterward, she arrives at the Newman Ranch, where Victor is already waiting with his usual calm authority. Phyllis wastes no time, telling him she wants to finalize their deal immediately. But before Victor can respond, Nikki emerges unexpectedly and demands to know why Phyllis would ever consider giving Chancellor back. Phyllis's reaction is sharp and mocking as she glances between them with a knowing smile. Her words cut through the tension like a blade. "Victor, don't tell me Nikki doesn't know." Victor's subtle smirk in response only deepens the mystery, leaving the truth hanging heavily in the air as the power struggle between them quietly intensifies. The moment Phyllis's words hang in the air at the Newman Ranch, the room seems to grow unnaturally still, as if even the walls are listening. Nikki Newman studies her husband carefully, searching his face for answers. He clearly has no intention of giving. Victor Newman remains composed, his familiar smirk barely shifting as he watches the tension unfold between the two women. Phyllis Summers stands confidently despite the pressure, her sharp gaze moving from Victor to Nikki as if daring them both to acknowledge the truth that's already sitting between them. Nikki's confusion quickly turns into suspicion, and she presses harder, demanding to understand exactly what kind of deal is being made behind her back. Victor, however, refuses to break his calm silence too easily, choosing his words carefully as he reminds them both that business negotiations often require discretion. Yet Phyllis clearly enjoys the moment, knowing she holds information Nikki does not, and that small advantage gives her a quiet sense of control in a room usually dominated by Victor's power. Across town, the investigation at the Abbott mansion continues gathering momentum as Diane Jenkins Abbott, Kyle Abbott and Billy Abbott refuse to waste a single second. The discovery of the Marina connection has ignited a fragile but determined hope among them. Diane's earlier tears have given way to fierce focus, her fear for Jack Abbott transforming into a relentless need to find him. Billy studies the security footage again, analyzing every detail with the careful eye of someone who knows time is slipping away. Kyle, driven by the desperate need to save his father, refuses to sit back while Victor Newman orchestrates events from the shadows. The three of them realize that if the SUV truly headed toward the marina, then the truth might be waiting somewhere along the docks.